Hello everybody and welcome to our next video, TBC Online's 10 Commandments for Guest-Friendly Churches. It is time for us to get into our third video, which means that sometime today, if it has not already happened, the day that this video is posted, the first video has been removed. If you did not post a reply to the first video, it has been deleted and you need to contact me privately with an inbox message as to what's going on so that we can make sure we preserve the integrity of this course. So please don't just assume that it'll be okay. Reach out to me, let me know, and let's communicate, and we'll talk about what we need to do from there. Otherwise, you have 1 week to post left for the second video, and your 2 weeks for this video begins now. And let us, or it actually begins when this video is posted. It doesn't necessarily begin now. You could be watching it at the last minute. But let's go ahead and take a look into the third commandment. Third commandment is thou shalt not sit on the ends of the rows. Move to the middle so guests don't have to walk over you. This is may seem kind of obvious, but when we consider our personal feelings and what we want to do, we come in and sometimes we want to be comfortable ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be comfortable yourself, but there is something selfish in choosing to be comfortable yourself and make someone else uncomfortable. You know, something that I've seen a lot lately is that people seem to just say things and do things and not have a regard. Church people, and I'm talking about our circle of influence. Church folks, we'll call them that. Not all of them, but church people tend to almost justify being rude or being crude or being absurdly selfish towards other people. And I've heard a lot, it seems like, over the years. Well, that's just how I am, or that's how God made me. Well, that's baloney. God didn't make you that way. When you got saved, God changed you. You became a new creation in Christ. Thus, you are putting others first. Remember the two commands we're supposed to be living by. Love God and love others as yourself. If you would move yourself to the end of the row to be comfortable, and you are loving others as yourself, then you should move yourself to the middle of the row so that the other can be as comfortable as you would have been. Does that make sense? I think you got that. I hope you got that. Because it's not about us being comfortable. It's about us welcoming, being a guest-friendly church, and welcoming those guests in and doing everything we can, even what may seem to us as little things, but is actually a big thing for those guests that come into the church. Now, what we don't want to be guilty of is being a pew blocker. And pew blocking is defined simply as the practice of sitting right next to the aisle so that no one else can get by or sit in the middle of the pew. There again, it's a selfish act. You may say, well, that's a lot asking me not to do that. Well, guys, it's a selfish act to not move in. Now, let me be honest. I'm not comfortable sitting in the middle of a pew, or at the theater, or anywhere else. I'm not comfortable with sitting in them. I don't like it. In fact, at the theater, I'll go to those side seats where there's 2 or 3, and bigger theaters may have 4. But I'll go over to the side because I just don't want. I can't do it. I just don't like doing it. I say I can't do it, but I can do it because all things are possible through Christ who strengthens me. And if I'm going to love others as myself, then I can do that by the power of Jesus in me. And so you can move even if it's uncomfortable. And I believe this will spark some great discussion because for those who it's uncomfortable, it's almost like maybe the first 2 videos really didn't get in your business, but this one does. At least it does for me. So we don't want to be pew blockers. And there's 2 solutions that we can look at for not being pew blockers. The first solution is that we can move towards the middle of the pew, leaving the aisle seats for those coming later. That makes sense, right? Slide on into the middle. And we can also, if you can't handle sitting in the middle of the pew, we could take the outside spot and graciously allow those coming by or coming after you to go past you, even moving out so they can get by. You can do that. And I'm kind of giving you a pass here, but I want you to be encouraged, and I want to encourage you to take the first step first. And if you have an anxiety issue, and I'm not making light of that because some people do. If you have an anxiety issue or you have concerns, or you just feel like you will flip out if you have to be, in that middle and you feel stuck, then don't be that. And I hate to even say the word jerk, but don't be a jerk when somebody comes up and wants to slide in past you by simply adjusting your knees, 2 degrees to the left or 2 degrees to the right. Get up and get out of the way. I mean, come on. Get out of their way and give them a chance, or not a chance, but a free place, a free space to move without being encumbered by your body, if you're going to do number two. So you can do either one, obviously the first one being harder for us, maybe, but also being the better choice. But if you're going to do number two and you're adamant that that's where you're sitting, then be considerate of what those people who are going to need a seat that you wouldn't take are going to go through when they come to you. How do you feel when you go to the movie theater and you have to slide in because there's no seats, or you go to a church and there's no seats on the end, and so you have to slide in a little bit, and you trip or you step on a foot, or your butt is bumping up against the knees or whatever? Let's be honest. How uncomfortable, unless you're just weird like that, okay, and I'm just going to call it like it is, how uncomfortable is it to have your hindquarters rubbing up on some stranger's knee? Let's be honest. I don't want them rubbing up on my knee, and you and I, we're probably not strangers. So let's be considerate of that. Okay. All right. Next is that we need to remember that it's not hospitable, and it's not an efficient system of seating. When you go to Disney World, if you've ever been to Disney World or a theme park like that, you could go to the Coca-Cola Museum. They've got the new 4D ride, whatever it is, up there. You are usually asked to come in and slide all the way down so that it's efficient. Now that's seating when you're seating from one side of that theater, that room, to the other. In the church, it's not so much necessary. Now, I will say this. For churches unlike ours, for churches that have a wall up against the pew, it would make perfect sense to slide all the way down. Again, that's important. You don't want to be on the end where the aisle is. But in the church, in Tabernacle, you can get in from both sides of the aisles. There's three aisles that you can get to on the sides, one down the middle. So you have to be considerate and understanding that it may be different at different churches based on the design or layout. But it's not efficient to block the pew or the ends of the aisles. So the questions for Facebook: are you a pew blocker? Look, I told you this may deal with you more than anything else, and I want you to be honest. But are you a pew blocker? And if you're not honest, remember something: I will find you and I will call you out. I will say you are a liar. No, I wouldn't do that. But be honest. You may not be an intentional pew blocker, but the question is, have you done it, and are you consistently doing it? And also, do you struggle with moving to the center? I do. I said that. It's right there in writing. You can snap a picture of it. But in the event, and here's how I get past that. I became a pastor. So not that I can boss people around and tell them where to sit, but most of the time I'm not sitting in a service where I have to do that. And I mean, when I became a pastor originally, I was preaching, and now even now I'm teaching and preaching in different venues, so I don't have to struggle with that. But I do struggle with that, and it is a real struggle. And one last thing, sometimes I haven't had anybody ask this, but I do want to say the reason I don't answer these questions in the Facebook forum, I more or less respond to your questions and like your responses if I've read them, and that's how you know I've read them, is I like them, is because I answer them here in the video. So that's my answer to the video. Yes, I have been a pew blocker in my past, and I do struggle with having to sit in the middle, in the center. And I can fix it by following the guidelines in here, by praying, by asking God to strengthen me, and by putting these people ahead of me. So don't steal my answers unless they're the same as yours already before I answer. And get on Facebook. And let's see what happens as we go through another week together discussing. We've had great responses. You guys are I'm impressed with the responses, and I'm thankful for you, and I just look forward to more discussions on Facebook. And until then, God bless you. Have a great week in Jesus, and we'll see you on the web. Bye-bye.